Hey folks, John from Complete Technology Solutions, your friend in the computer business. So I've got another one of these product reviews today, guys. This company made a claim that I am really wary of. Therefore, I wanted to put it to the test. So we're not actually going to test it in the way they wanted me to test it. We're going to test it in the way we test it. Hang on a second. Back with you guys. All right, so what we've got here is the BOMT solar powered battery bank and phone charger. Now, I got to tell you, and we're going to take a look at this on Stumpy here. The box is pretty nice. It's got a lot of weight to it. Did come from China. Now, the reason this one interested me, and I was thinking about this in terms of portability for other things than charging phones. Phones are cool and all, but this thing has got a 26,800 milliamp hour battery in it. In theory, I actually run an Oculus Quest off of a 26,800. I've also run my Oculus Go off of a 26,800 for a very long time, as a matter of fact. In fact, I kind of used it as a pass-through UPS. And for those of you who don't know what that means, if you've got a battery pack like this, but you've got an incoming power source to it to charge it, and your outcoming is going to your device, the battery continues to charge all the time, and it runs kind of like an uninterrupted power source, so which is pretty cool. Now, this one being solar, I don't think it's going to handle that kind of load, but we want to check this out. So let's crack this open and see what we've got in this box. Now, once again, in all fairness, I want to let you know I have not opened this. I haven't even charged it, so I don't know how much charge is on this thing by default, but we are going to find out together and find out what it looks like here. Now, this came from, I kind of shudder to say this, guys. This came from the same vendor that the picture frame that went so bad. And if you guys forgot about the Fu Vision picture frame, I'll link it up here in the description for you to check it out. Sometimes they just don't work. I know. But let's hope this one does. So, all right, let's crack this open here. Let's see what we got going. All right, looks like actually it looks pretty darn nice. All right, comes with those little short charger cables. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. See, that is a standard Samsung cable, guys. A little bitty short job and real thin. A little tip for you on these. If you ever charge anything on these super thin Chinese cables like this, charge them at less than 1 amp. Otherwise, these will overheat and they can catch on fire and melt. So keep that in mind. Hopefully, we won't need that, what with this being solar. All right, so it looks like we've got a little instruction booklet. And the first 2 pages are actually written in English. Pretty straightforward. Got a power switch on it, 2 outputs. Oh, here we go. Outputs on it are 5 volt at 2.1 amp and 5 volt at 1 amp, and they're variable and switchable. So that's kind of cool. So they'll tell you what it is. So let's see what we got here. Ooh, it's actually very pretty, guys. Look at that. That's actually very sharp looking. And as you can see, it looks like we've got a Type-C connector and we've got a Samsung connector. Now, I don't know if that's for power in, power out, or both, but we'll check that. It looks like 2 USB 3.1s, but of course, that's just going to be for your power. Looking around here. Now, the instructions say, there it is right there, a power switch. So let's hit that power switch and see what happens. All right, so it shows that we are at 1 bar of power. So here's what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to pause the video for 1 second. I'm going to go out and charge this for about, half an hour, and then we'll come back and check and see how many bars it's got, and we'll continue putting this to the test. You're going to like what I got in mind for it, guys. Be right back. Okay, so here's what we did, guys. I went ahead and I took it outside to charge this on the solar just to see how long it would take. Now, the way this works, and I'm hoping Stumpy can pick this up, I'm going to turn this on, and you can see there are 4 LED lights right here. Now, when this thing is charging, what you get is one of the lights, like when I first got it, it was totally dead, and apparently that's how they're shipping. So, when you first turn these things on, or you're charging them, the light will start to flash. As the first one, it charges to 25%, that one will go solid. The second light will start to flash, and so on and so forth until it's full. So as you can see right now, the battery is totally full. Now, full disclosure, I charged this in the sun for about 3 hours and I got to the second battery. So what I ended up doing is you can actually plug in the external power source to charge it, not using that little cheesy cable, but to charge it up. So now we want to figure out what we can do. Now we know that this puts out 5 volts and 1 amp. Now 1 amp's a little bit low to do a couple of our tests, but you know what? We're going to do it anyway. Gosh, if only we had a couple of raspberries to test this on. Oh wait, we do. So I tell you what we're going to do here, guys. Now this is the Raspberry Pi Zero. This is a power sipper, and this got me to thinking, if this brick actually does what it's supposed to do, and I did a little bit of mathematical calculation last night, on an iPhone 10, on a full charge on this thing, even if you were not running a solar trickle on it, you should get about 2.5 phone charges out of this if you're not currently using your phone while you're charging it. That being the case, if it's solar trickling, I'm guessing you'll probably get 3 before you have to unplug it and let the whole thing charge. So what we're going to do is I want to plug this into a Raspberry Zero because it got me thinking this could be the perfect car entertainment. You know, this thing takes such little power. If you plugged it into this thing in theory and it was sitting in sunlight, I don't know if it would ever go dead as long as you had power going to it while you were playing your games on your TV. Now, of course, we all know that the B3 Plus takes considerably more power, and more importantly, it takes a 2.5 amp charger. Now, that's not to say it won't run, but a lot of you guys have probably seen with Raspberries, if you get a low voltage, you'll get the little lightning bolt up in the upper right-hand corner, and you can get some performance issues with some games. So we're going to test them both. So first, let's clear out the obvious, which is, will this thing actually work with a Raspberry B3 Plus? All right, here we go. All right, guys, so here we go. Now, as you can see, I've got Stumpy aimed up at the TV over here. Here's what we've got going. I've got the Raspberry plugged in right here, HDMI going out there. This is the receiver for the controllers. You guys have seen those before. And this is the power switch with a switch on it. Now, I'm not going to lie, guys. I do not expect this to work. If it does, it'll be a very pleasant surprise because you can see we don't have a power draw on this thing yet because the switch isn't on. So let's give this a shot and see if anything at all happens. All right, hitting the button. The light did come on the Raspberry. We do have power. And it looks like we are putting out 4 on the little lights here. Oh, well, I'll be darned, guys. Look at that. It actually did power up. Let's take a look and see. And look at that. It even saw the controller. Well, I'll be darned. All right, so we're still on 4 here. So even though we are pulling, it appears that it did actually start. Now, we do have the lightning bolt up here at the top. So I tell you what we're going to do. I want to bring this all the way back down again, and I want to bring it all the way back up again. Here we go. By the way, you should never do what I just did and restart your Raspberry like that. You should always go through the safe shutdown. And there's a couple of scripts if you want to use a power button or actually use your controller to go to start, shut down, and shut it down properly. But as you can see, this battery pack is powering a Raspberry B3, and it seems to be doing quite well. Like I said, we're always going to get this lightning bolt, and I'm hoping Stumpy is picking that up there. Hopefully he is. Little bitty lightning bolt right here. We're always going to get that because we're dealing with 1 amp out of this thing, and it needs to be 2.5 to properly power one of the Raspberries. But you know what, guys? It's functioning. That blows my mind. And since this one is working, I have absolutely zero question that it will run the Zero, and probably for a lot longer than even I was anticipating. So, wow. By the way, I was reading in the instructions that say these things do actually trickle charge off of ambient light as well. Now, I don't know if that necessarily means, you know, LED lights or anything like that, but it certainly means that it would charge off if you got it in your car and it's sitting down or it's a cloudy day, it's still going to be doing some charge on there, which is a good thing. Well, I'll be done. And as you can see, I will tell you this, you can see that it's taking longer than normal to boot up. That is a consequence of 1.5 amps. But the key is it's functioning, and that just blows my mind. All right, so once this goes ahead and boots in, we'll shut this down properly and we'll bring up the Zero, and we'll see if it makes a bit of a difference, and I'll bet it will. I'm willing to bet that this, based on what I'm seeing with this, will operate like normal. So, all right, well, here we are in the system, And as you can see, it navigates pretty well. I wouldn't dare try to play a PlayStation game or anything, not with this much power. We would definitely be. But you know what? One thing I will do, because a good test are the arcade games. So let's do some OG Mortal Kombat here. By the way, did you guys see, I don't know if Stumpy caught that, how it kind of faded out. It didn't do the normal transitional slide. It actually kind of stuck for a second. That's because we're dealing with lower power. There we go. All right, and as you can see, we did jump into Mortal Kombat. Now let's see, this could be a little slow, so let's find out here. Hear the background noise? Now I have a feeling this is going to be, oh yeah, that's terrible. You can see the graphics are suffering pretty bad, guys. Scorpion. Yeah. This is going to be virtually unplayable. I can pretty much guarantee. Look at that, how slow that is. But slow or not, guys, the point remains, this is running off of this. Pretty cool. Let's see if it does anything at all. Oh, yeah, that's unplayable. That's completely unplayable. Look at that. That doesn't mean I would ever actually lose this game, but anyway. All right, so we're going to go jump back out of this. All right, so we know this now works. That's what's important. Just to illustrate, once again, we're still on 4. And I keep showing that because, of course, we should still be on 4. It's a massive battery, but you can never be too sure, so we want to make sure. All right, so let's shut this down. Yes, this time we'll shut it down properly. And we'll bring up the Raspberry Pi Zero. Now, this should run at full performance the entire time. That's what we're going to find out. And for those who are wondering, this is an HDMI adapter to adapt to standard HDMI. This is nothing but the wireless adapter to go to this controller. And then, of course, you got your power in over here, which we're going to steal off this one. So, all right, so that's done. We're going to shut it down. And, you know, no matter how you cut it, guys, I mean, slow or not, it still ran that, and that really kind of blows my mind. So we're gonna give that a thumbs up. That surprised me. Honestly, I didn't even think it was going to come on. So now you might be able to get away with playing some old basic 8-bit stuff, you know, Atari and all that, but you're not going to play any of the big games on that, not running on a battery pack. Certainly not that battery pack. I'm sure there are some out there that'll put out enough, but yeah. Also, not for the price break. Wait till I tell you about that one. So, all right, here we go, guys. So, at this point, what we've got is, and I'm going to show Stumpy, we've got our Raspberry Pi Zero. Everything plugged into it, ready to go. As you can see, right now it shows 0 on that. We're going to hit turn on the power. It detects that it's pulling, and let's see what we get on screen. All right, guys, first thing to notice, no lightning bolt. That's huge, which means that this is putting out enough power for this, which is pretty cool. All right, so we're going to let this boot up here. We are still at our 4 lights. All right, so I'm going to plug this one back in. So as you can see, this is a pretty basic interface that I've got on here. I didn't want anything like a hyperspin kind of thing going on because I figured too much motion, even with it working correctly and no lightning bolt, could have been an issue. But the hardest ones to emulate are going to be the arcade games. So let's go in here and let's do 1942. Now this game is tough for a Raspberry Pi Zero to emulate, even if you're on a proper power source. So let's take a look at this and let's see what it does. All right, that launched quickly. All right, and in we go. So it looks like it's running a little, well, actually, no, it isn't. Well, look at there, guys. I'll be darned. It's running perfectly. And we are still on 4 bars. See what I get for looking? Yeah. Let's see if our audio's lagging at all. Hang on, let me turn that up a little bit. No? Nope, we're not getting any audio lag at all, guys. Hey, big thumbs up. And I am willing to bet that even playing this game, based on, once again, those little mathematical calculations, with a Raspberry Pi Zero, you ought to be able to get several hours out of this thing, even if you weren't passively charging it. So, hey, I'm pretty happy about this. Now, as far as longevity goes, and we'll go ahead and shut this one down. Yeah, I tell you, I can play that game forever, man. I love that game. There it is. All right. Take this volume back down here. All right, so we're still running on it, as you can see. We still have 4 bars, and that's after plodding around with that B3 Plus for a while, and it's holding steady. I mean, it seems to be pretty darn solid. Now, the ultimate question, and I mean, this is going to be for like double pulls, would be to plug in 2 Raspberry Pi Zeros. But I don't think that's necessary, not for this test. We can see that it's clearly functioning perfectly and doing what it's supposed to do. So, all right, so here's the deal. Little wrap up for you. This is a fantastic battery pack. I've gone through a bunch of these. I've even built a few of my own using the 16550 batteries. Little solar panel on top where you do your own soldering and all that kind of stuff. And they're cool. But they don't have this nice finish, and they certainly don't, function just like this out of the box. This is actually pretty nice. I'm glad to see it. As far as longevity, well, only time will tell. We'll have to see how it holds out. But at the moment, I'm going to let this thing run Raspberry until it dies, and let's see what it does. But I'm pretty pleased with this. I'm going to drop a link in the description below where you guys can pick one of these up. Guys, they're 20 bucks. 20 bucks. You cannot go wrong with a good product for $20 that actually will give you performance on the backside. And I haven't even started to charge a phone yet. But you know what? Let's double this up, shall we? What we're going to do is I'm going to plug this into the secondary connection. Before we wrap it, I'm going to take my iPhone. We're going to triple this up. Now, this is just an old iPhone 8. Plug it in. We are charging. Raspberry is still running. And then, while we're at it, let's take our Samsung phone, which is actually hosting our audio, by the way, guys. So if it goes a little squirrely here, you'll know what's going on. And let's plug in the Type-C. And it is charging. So at this point, we've got 3 devices pulling off of this battery pack. And as you can see, we are still at full bars. 3 devices. Hey, no complaints. That is a darn good product right there. Well, but guys, in case you're wondering, I know everybody, if you're not a geek, let me explain this shirt to you. And I think I've probably done this once before, but for those who don't know. So there's no place like 127.0.0.1. And we call that, if you're pinging what's called the loopback or the local host on your computer, it is also another word for home. So there it is. So you guys know there's no place like where? You got it. We'll see you guys on the next video. Got something cool planned for you. And I promise it won't be that far out. Have a good one. Stay safe out there, guys. Stay safe. Bye-bye.